Hello, my name is Jer Gunza, and welcome to the first ever Halloween movies you should watch for Halloween season. This is video number 1. I plan to do 30. We'll see about that. Um, got some catching up to do because today is the 7th of the month of October, so we'll see. But today's video, we'll be talking about a horror film that I think is a great film. It invoked fear in me as a child. I'm talking about this man right here, Candyman. If you haven't seen Candyman, Candyman is a great film. It's a psychological horror more than it is a jump scare horror. It came out in 1992, and it became one of the top horror films of all time, if I'm not mistaken. And I think, and personally, in my opinion, it is one of the top horror films of all time. It's a very classical film. It stars Virginia Madsen as Helen, a reporter for a college that she and her husband work at. Her friend and partner, named Burnett, played by Casey Lemons, are working on thesis projects, which brings our attention to projects called Cabrini Green, it's a neighborhood that doesn't get any type of patrol or support from the city whatsoever. It's been kind of left out to dry. While investigating to the neighborhood, Helen Burnett learned that there's a name of a man that invokes fear into the entire neighborhood. That if you look into the mirror and say his name 5 times, then Candyman, the entity with this hook for a right hand, will appear and kill you with it. Helen decides to take up on this challenge as a way to prove that this Candyman curse is just a tool tactic used by bad people in the neighborhood who want to make the weak ones scared and afraid of doing anything to stand up against them. After Helen chooses to take up this challenge, she is chosen by Candyman himself to be his next victim. Candyman came out what seems like to be a box office failure due to his $30 million budget and only received $25 million in a box office return. But I think since then it has become such a cult classic. It's pretty fairly positive reviews. I think one of the main things is what can set people off about this film is that when they go into this, I think they're expecting a full-fledged horror film that's just jump scare after jump scare. When really, this movie is it's more than just that. The horror, the horror the horror aspect, so to say. And I think people don't like the fact that it's also a psychological horror more than it is a jump scare horror. Personally, I thought it did well on hitting on all the themes and messages that it was trying to hit at. The social commentary, which it does have in this movie, it it blends it very well that a lot of movies fail to do, and then when these movies fail to hit the mark, or when they fail to write it perfectly, a lot of people end up hating it. They don't want to see the movie. They go against it, and it will be called what you would say is woke. Me myself, I'm definitely a person who is not a fan of those type of films. I find it to be exhausting, annoying, and sometimes it's just not even clever, and it's a one-sided argument most of the time in these movies. But Candyman is very blended very well, and I also think that the problems that they address in this movie are also real. You do see it happening in these neighborhoods. It's happening here in Tulsa. There's a street. I used to grow up around the street, Peoria area. Mostly it's a black filled neighborhood. Mostly, a lot of black people live there, and yeah, I think it's what you can consider the projects. It's not the deep projects. I've lived in some deep projects, but basically, Peoria area is now being fixed, so to say. It's being helped. They're helping it out finally. What they say, but their definition of help means we're going to tear down these old looking apartments that you guys live in, build better, nicer looking, newer ones, so we can help out your neighborhood and bring it up. But your rent payment is going to go up significantly. You might not be able to afford it. And if you can't afford it, get the fuck out of here. But that's basically what's happening in these neighborhoods. Their definition of help means that they're going to just tear down what's already there and build something expensive that they know those people cannot afford, which forces them to leave, which just brings in more people who are already in world class situations to come over and act like, oh, it's so great to see this neighborhood finally come up, come and get better. We have a Whole Foods over here. Look at this supermarket. But you know who's not there anymore? The people who stayed in that neighborhood through the thick and thin. Those people are gone now. And this movie does touch on that in a very clever type of way, I think. Tony Todd is at his best as Candyman, an individual whose backstory is that after being chased down by a racist group who have beaten him badly, they also rub honeycomb that they found from a nearby angry nest of honeybees in the honeybee hive. And after they rubbed this honeycombs on him, he was attacked by these honeybees until his death. For the short amount of screen time that Tony Todd has in this film, I'm telling you, he is owning the role. I think that's another thing that people probably didn't like, is the fact that this movie, I think, is about an hour, 2 hours, 2 hours, I believe. And Tony Todd is not in it a lot. But I like movies like that where they know that the horror characters you come to see, you want to see him badly. And then when you see him, you appreciate his appearance a lot more, and they also go all out with his appearance. He is a violent individual. He is a haunting character. The things that they show him and how they show the things he's tortured people, it haunted me as a child. I did not want to say this man's name whatsoever. Matter of fact, did I say Candyman 5 times already right now? I think you should go see Candyman 1992 version. I say that because there's another movie that treats as the Candyman sequel that came out in 2021. It's just called Candyman, so I don't want you to confuse this Candyman with that Candyman. That is a sequel to the 2021 movie, which I will talk about in another video. Candyman 1992 is a great movie. I think you should watch it. I think everyone should give it a chance. Do not expect it to be jump scares, because that's not what it's about. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that movie. Anywho, I hope this video comes out great. I don't know how this is gonna look. This is the first video I'm doing for this series I'm doing. I hope to grow this channel more into what it is now. And I was kind of weary about doing this. Like, should I even do it? But then I've had people who I care about, people who are cool with me, my friends, say, bro, just do it. If you're having fun, then just have fun. Do it. You can't base your channel on one thing anyways, because if you base your channel on just Mortal Kombat, and then what if Mortal Kombat dies? You know who dies with it? You do. So I say this to all my friends and family and whoever else encouraged me to do these videos. I thank you. I thank you very much for giving me the courage, the motive to do this. Let's hope it goes off to somewhere. If it doesn't, we'll keep doing it. I might start doing trailer reactions. Who knows? Yeah. Well, thank you for your time. It's been your boy Jer Gunza. Yeah, y'all take care. Stay safe.